Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 428, Living the Dream. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going? Post Royal Ascot 2022?
We had to think about that one for a second.
A little bit. It's been a long week.
Yeah, no, it's going well. I mean, obviously for listeners, it's been a while since they've heard us because between various trips that we've been on and then also we lost 2 episodes to some technical issues. This is the first episode that will have come out in, I think, nearly a month.
Are they lost in the cloud?
They didn't even make it to the cloud. So, I don't know which technical state we would claim that they've been lost in.
Where does it get lost if it doesn't make it to the cloud? Lost on the ground?
Yeah, pretty
Midair?
much. But no, yeah, it was a fun week. Obviously, the first time we've seen each other in person since before the pandemic. But it was a fun week, and now it have to deal with the usual things we've already just spoken about it off podcast. But just the constant Instagram. Hey, Royal Ascot was a week ago. Hey, only 51 weeks to go until Royal Ascot next year. Yep. And it's obviously it's not just about the horse racing itself. It's just a fun trip when we're in London and in Paris. But no, it was good fun and looking forward to already counting down the days until next year, even if it's a week later next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really fun trip. Some of the highlights for me are hitting the best over at the Sixes cricket
bar.
Fuck
you!
I believe it was a 26 in 1 over. It was like Johnny Bairstow today.
I mean, so for listeners, there's a bar called Sixes in London, and it has cricket nets. So for those unfamiliar with cricket, kind of like batting cages
with targets,
and basically. Yeah, with targets. And then if you're hitting the targets, you're scoring runs. It's not a great way of trying to sort of replicate what it's like to play cricket.
Yeah.
I would say for everyone taking part, it was a very good way to see maybe how difficult it is to hit a cricket ball.
It was humbling, for sure. The only thing I didn't enjoy was I felt the release where the ball was released was really too close to where you were batting. So it was more a little bit of just kind of start to swing and see what happens versus being able to actually kind of see it coming in and track it a little bit. Like I assume you would when you're actually on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're trying to get the balance there, right? They're trying to replicate, they're shortening the distance to try and replicate the time. And it's an interesting discussion to have as to, even if they told you like, hey, you actually have more time than someone would have normally. The fact that you don't have your eyes, don't have that ability to track the ball for a little bit longer, I felt like did make it harder, more challenging. And like with anything, the ball's coming out of those sort of virtual machines where they have like computer graphics showing like a screen trying to represent the bowler. It's just a little bit harder to kind of get into the real rhythm of exactly when the release of the ball is and stuff. So it's better than just a bowling machine standing there and having balls fed into it. But it's not.
It was fun.
It was complete replication.
It was still really fun. So we did Americans versus Europeans. It took the Americans several rounds to kind of figure out what the hell was going on in terms of like when to know if it was a spinner versus a fast bowler. I think it took us about 6 or 7 overs before we realized that one bowler was starting 20 feet back and one was starting 5, and then it kind of clicked like, oh, that's a spinner versus a fast bowler.
I have to say, for you, Frank, as someone who watches cricket regularly, that's not a great thing to say. I can understand for the others who thought that as the difficulty level was increasing, it was purely speed based, which it was in some respects. But for you, I mean,
I agree. But the issue was I wasn't paying much attention to it because we were trying to focus on so many other things that it didn't click because I wasn't watching everyone else's, like the screen. I was just watching them hit. So I didn't ever see anyone else's screen really. So maybe with the 2 or 3 that I had, they were all fast. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, so I don't know. But yeah, it that took a little while.
There was also, I think, the first couple of attempts, people were kind of trying. Not that anyone's technique for the beginners was good, but for the first couple of attempts, I think people were trying to sort of mimic a cricket swing, and then after about 3 or 4 attempts, just abandoned
Full
all
abandonment.
attempts at looking. So whilst the end results at times might look okay, it certainly wasn't visually pleasing, and in a real cricket match would not have been effective.
And the racing obviously was really fun. Good to have some Pims pitchers back in the mix. Haven't had a good pitcher of Pims in a long time.
Yeah, no, and we were very lucky with the weather, right? It was warm, but it wasn't too warm. We've had years in the past where it's been unbearable, and because it's just hard to get good cover over for the course of the entire day, and it was hot, but it wasn't awful.
Yeah.
And we missed the warmest day, and we also missed the day it rained. So we were pretty lucky with the weather, but it was good fun. Got to see some good performances. Everyone got to have a couple of winners, which is always nice. Got to experience
Except
that
Wesley
thrill,
Ward.
even if they did.
He had no winners.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't with us. So.
I wouldn't want him with us.
Well, you say that, but you managed to bet on every single one of his horses. So I think you did want him with us.
Maybe.
Is that a tactic you might change for next year?
No,
is that getting thrown out the window?
No, because you know what happens? Next year is his big year. The year I abandon it is the year that he has like 3 winners. So I just can't. I will be more selective. Though.
That's such like a how can you be more selective though? Because he talks up every horse he has. So how can you possibly be more selective?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out when I get there.
I honestly, even if every horse he sends to Royal Ascot next season wins, you'll still be down on betting on. Like, he needs to have every horse he sends to Royal Ascot win for about the next 5 years for you to just break even on your Wesley Ward's bets at Royal Ascot. So you need to abandon that strategy. It's not working.
No, it's not.
But in the meantime, over these past couple of weeks, we have missed a fair amount of sport. Maybe not the most action-packed period in the sporting calendar, and a number of topics that we probably...
I was going to say, probably more so topics that we don't normally discuss. I mean, we did have the NBA championship get decided.
Yeah. Yep, the NBA, the Golden State Warriors won the NBA Finals, and then somehow managed to become even more annoying by continuously. I mean, even
no one respects them. I mean, no one respects Curry and Klay Thompson. No one respects them.
Look, I get it. People doubted them. There was a moment in time where people thought, okay, maybe this is the end of the Warriors era. Last season when you had, there were question marks as to whether or not Klay Thompson would ever truly come back. I don't know whether or not he's actually proven that he's back. He's just played he was okay in a couple of playoff games, but he was actually pretty awful in a couple of playoff games. Draymond Green, same idea. I mean, he was not good for most of the playoffs. So I don't know which questions he feels like he's answered. Basically, it's just Steph Curry reinforcing his legacy as the greatest shooter of all time. And, some of the other role players on that team kind of stepping up to play well enough in big moments. But the world has agreed that the Golden State Warriors are very good. Like, there's no one questioning. Maybe they feel they're underrated individually and collectively, but this chip on their shoulders that they have, that they feel like they got to tell us, oh, we've proven everyone wrong. Oh, let's call out all the people. I mean, literally, they've listed names of people who 12 months ago didn't believe in them. It's sports media's job to basically, and this
to critique
as a professional. Yeah, as a professional athlete, you got to accept in the 24-hour sports news cycle that we have and talking heads on every sports channel almost all the time, someone is going to be saying, yeah, I don't think the Golden State Warriors. Someone's probably saying it right now. There's probably someone out there being like, they were really good this season, but I do not think they can win again next season. And it's just the nature of the beast. So to be so offended by it, I feel like it's people embracing, like, everyone saw The Last Dance and saw how much Michael Jordan held on to these little things that motivated him, like either people doubting him or saying specific things. But that was so true to his personality that it came across as being genuine, even if it's petty. It's like the Tom Brady thing. The fact that he still holds on to the fact that there were 6 quarterbacks drafted ahead of him, and that like still fuels him. But that comes so naturally to him that it's not annoying to hear him talk about that. Whereas these people being like, oh, let me just create. No one, Steph Curry was almost never believed in. He was under recruited in college. He was, not that highly thought of going into the draft. It's not like he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. It's just, it just drives me crazy.
Well, right now they are currently the favorite to win the 2023 NBA Finals. So when they start saying no one believes, and they're the odds-on favorite to win, well, not odds-on, but they're the number 1 favorite to win.
Pretty early on in the season, they were the favorite to win the West. Like, even, there wasn't. It's not as if they were rank outsiders. Like, people were giving them a chance. They were outsiders last season, and guess what? They did not win. Like, they're offended for what people said about them a playoff ago when they didn't win. And then now people might have changed their tune. I'll say this now. I hope Steph Curry comes after us 12 months away. There is no way in hell the Golden State Warriors win the NBA championship next season.
It was a fluke this year, and I have no belief in it next year.
No, he just chucks the ball up.
Yeah.
I don't think he even aims.
No. Well, half the time he's not looking when the ball's landing, so I don't think he's looking when he shoots it.
He's due about 3,000 misses in a row. He can't keep riding this hot streak for this long. And then in rugby, topic we won't really go into, but all of the European leagues wrapped up, so you had the finals of all of those, which we didn't discuss. We got the Stanley Cup finals,
but we watched.
We did watch. Yeah, we actually did watch, but we won't discuss. We got the Stanley Cup finals wrapping up as well. So, no, it's
maybe
been
wrapping up.
Yeah,
maybe
we'll see. Yeah, potentially. When you're listening to this, might already be over. Might not be, but might be. Probably is. But
speaking of that, there was a pretty funny article I saw on ESPN about a bettor who last year he bet the winner of 2020. He bet the winner of the NBA Finals, the winner of the World Series, the winner of the Stanley Cup, and the winner of the Super Bowl, along with a random UFC fight. So that was the year the Lakers won, the Dodgers won, the Lightning won, and the Bucks beat the Chiefs. He put an $8 parlay to win $22,000. Fast forward 2 years, he has since done it again, and this one was Georgia to win the NCAA football championship, Rams to win the Super Bowl, Warriors to win the NBA championship, another random UFC fight, and then the Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup. And this time it's, I think it was 200 for 35,000. The interesting part about this is that he is 100% claims those were the only of those bets he put on that for that. So he did one in 2020 for all of it, and then he did one in 2022, and that was the one that is now one Colorado Avalanche game away from winning.
I don't believe him. Like, I don't think he's put like $10,000 worth of bets on. I just don't believe that if that's your style of bet that you've literally just put the one on. I just don't believe him. And anyone who gambles, I think, will be on my side. Like, if that's your style of bet, you've put a couple on. I still think
that's what he's saying. It's not his style of bet at all. He never parlays.
No, I don't believe him. I don't believe. Oh, he never does it. Just happens to do it every time it wins. I don't believe him.
Let's get him on.
I mean, look, again, I'm sure he's way up on this approach. And the thing is, and like, more credit to him, because everything he's thrown into his bets, for the most part, seem like he hasn't picked huge outsiders at any point, right? He's done a good job of kind of looking at the top 3 or 4 in the betting market in each one of those sports and identifying the one that has gone on to win. So this
one he placed in early November. So at that point, you have to figure in early November, Georgia was favored.
We don't need to.
But I'm just saying, like it's not as if he did it during the NBA Finals or during the NFL.
No, sure. I think
like
that goes without
playoffs.
saying. Yeah, well, obviously, because there are sports that are decided 7 months
Yeah.
apart. But no, but none of the teams that he's chosen there were outside, I would imagine, the top 5 in their respective sports at the moment he threw them in. So it's not as if he said, I think Leicester City are going to win the Premier League. Wow, what a bet. Like he's looked at the top 5 in each of those betting markets and managed to string together the right combination.
Speaking of Leicester, who is a bigger underdog win, Leicester or the Warriors this year?
Oh, it's tough. It's
Super tough. No one believed in either of them.
No. More people probably believed in Leicester.
What he probably didn't predict was who is going to be leaving the PGA Tour.
I think it's impossible to predict at the moment. Every day, people. I mean, obviously, he's got Rory McIlroy really worked up, right? He's pulling words out of his vocabulary that I think most people are. I wonder how many people had to look up duplicitous after he said it the other day. I think he is. I was actually mildly impressed by the fact that he knew the word and managed to use it. And that's not an insult to Rory McIlroy's intelligence, because he comes across as a very smart person all the time. But it did surprise me, just the ease with which he threw that word out. But
he's currently writing a 75-page dissertation on how this will affect the financial markets in East Asia.
How much do you think? What do you think? If I told you, what are the odds? Either someone told him that word, and again, this isn't supposed to be an insult on him, but like someone in the coverage of this mentioned that word to him, and he made a mental note of like, that's a good word. I need to have that word in.
Maybe.
Or that he is kind of like going to his thesaurus at night. Like he's sinking a few long putts, and then he's going to his thesaurus and going, two-faced. What can I do there? Backstabbers. What word can I come up with?
Yeah, it's he's definitely fired up. And listen, if that's what it takes to shoot some of the best rounds of golf you've shot in a long time, then power to him, because he's playing pretty great right now.
Well, he's had a terrible day today, but yeah.
Oh, has he?
Yeah,
of course.
But he'll finish in the top 5 as usual.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah. Since we've last covered it, we've obviously spoken about the LIV Golf Tour coming into it, and it's also hard to remember because we lost these episodes to know sort of how much we spoke about the LIV Golf Tour in episodes that were released at different moments in time. But it's obvious the one event has taken place. I don't think we really discussed in that time period then obviously the fact that the likes of Bryson DeChambeau and who else were the big names? Dustin Johnson, who I don't think we didn't even speak about when he's made the switch. Patrick Reed, and then now obviously the big name to have left since that event took place was Brooks Koepka, which in hindsight is not surprising given the fact that his brother, who's ranked like 1100 in the world, somehow managed to make that list. And you have to think to yourself that when negotiations were taking place with Brooks Koepka, it was, hey, how about you, for no reason at all, also pay my brother a decent amount of money
/ caddy.
So I can stop supporting him as directly as I currently am. And then, I'll consider coming in as a package deal.
I do love some of the quotes that have surfaced of what he said over the past few years about how golf is not about the money, and he's already has enough money in his life that he could retire and live comfortably, and he plays golf because he wants to be the best and beat the best. And then he just turns around and sells out. I mean, whatever, I don't care. It is quite humorous, and it adds a little wrinkle into the who's actually the better person in the DeChambeau Brooks Koepka feud.
Yeah, and look, in a way, it suits both of them. Brooks Koepka has had a very good career in terms of winning majors, but he's pretty much only turned up for majors. His career outside of those has not been spectacular. He's a big tournament player. And so it suits him in a way to switch to a format where he can afford to be terrible a lot of the time, and he's really only there for the big purses. So it shouldn't really surprise too many people. He's also struggling with injury. And for as much as people, I think Abraham Answer aside, I think for as much as people are talking about, oh, these are big names leaving the PGA Tour, they are mostly big names who have either are coming towards the tail end of their careers or they've had pretty rocky periods.
Or injuries.
Yeah, Brooks Koepka with injuries, Bryson DeChambeau with his form is just, he blows hot and cold, so, and mostly cold. So, and now obviously the PGA Tour has kind of fired back. They've now created these new set of events where they're going to try and rival the LIV Golf Tour in these 3 standalone tournaments where they'll kind of copy the format slightly, where there'll be no cut, and it will be for the 60 top ranked players based on the FedEx Cup performance the previous season. Now, the issue we have here is they've then announced that this tournament, one of these events will be taking place in the Middle East, presumably in the UAE. And there's an element of hypocrisy here, whilst the money might not be as directly tied. But for all the people who've come out and said, how on earth could you take money from Saudi Arabia? And then they're going to turn around and play a really expensive tournament with, a huge prize fund in the UAE, which, has its own fair share of questionable human rights issues. Maybe not quite as big as Saudi Arabia, but there's a little bit of hypocrisy here, and it does make me uncomfortable at times. I wish the PGA Tour had almost risen above this and said, you know what, we're going to put this tournament in Australia, not in the Middle East. We're going to try and spread the game of golf, which would have been a good argument. We don't have any real big, there's no big tournaments in Australia. This is our chance to really encourage the growth of the sport. Let's stick it there, and then we'll still have a huge prize fund, but we're actually not going to just fall into the same trap that maybe the LIV Golf Tour is after, they've come out and said, look, if this is an arms race about money, we're going to lose.
Yeah, the thing I'm still not clear on is apparently they were going to suspend the players, but suspend them from what?
You mean the players who've taken part in the LIV Golf Tour? So they've had their PGA membership suspended, so they cannot take place in any PGA events now.
But for how long? Like forever? For one tournament? For a month? So when the next major comes around, are they going to tell Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and DeChambeau that they can't participate?
Well, so majors are entirely separate, and this is part of the issue that they have. So the PGA controls PGA events. Okay. The Open, the Masters, the U.S. Open, those are completely separate entities. Those are run by their own, in the case of the Masters, it's run entirely by Augusta itself. You have the Royal and Ancient that runs the Open, and then the USGA that runs the U.S. Open. So far, these majors have come out and said basically like, not our problem. It's not for us to get involved in this. And you can understand from their perspective. They organize one tournament a year, and their goal is to have the best golfers in the world turn up for those 4 days. So for them to weigh in heavily and say, no. What has been said, like when the Open came out and spoke about it, so you have players who have exemptions. So if they've previously won the tournament or based on performance, in a sense, they're contractually locked into honoring those agreements. But what might be an issue for some of these LIV Golf players is if they do not, the LIV Golf Tour has applied for official status in a way that like it would give players ranking points for world ranking. If they don't get that status, then for players who don't have these exemptions, they will end up missing majors because their ranking won't be high enough. So that could be an issue for some of these players. And then there was another blow today where the DPD World Golf Tour, which is
the DTP World Golf Tour,
DPD,
wow,
basically the European Tour,
okay,
under a as it would have been formerly known more directly, has come out and basically taken exactly the same stance as the PGA. So players have been suspended. Actually, they've gone a little bit further. They fined players who have a tour card with them, who then played in that tournament at the Centurion, the first LIV Golf tournament. They fined any player who took part in that 100,000 euros. So in a sense, they've almost taken a stronger stance, which I guess would suck because what was the smallest payout was like $94,000. So someone might have lost money on this, which is. Which if you've gone into it for the money grab, that has to suck a little bit, but in the long run, I think they'll be okay. Here's a question.
And then we discussed this in one of the episodes that didn't get released, but furthering off of that, those are the people that are really going to get screwed by the LIV tournament, because eventually, as more people come in, those players who are lower ranked and are coming from, let's say, the European Tour and barely making it in the LIV Tour are going to be kicked off, and then they're going to have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's an interesting tactic. I can understand for the big name players. They know that they sign up, they get their huge payday anyway. So what do they really care? To some, like if you're Dustin Johnson, if you're Brooks Koepka, if you're getting $100 million plus just stuck in your bank account just for signing on the dotted line to play in the tournament, you almost don't need to worry about what is the long-term future of this format. You've made your money, and you can walk away feeling like you won that deal no matter what. But for some of the smaller players who maybe got signing bonuses, but for the most part are signing up for the idea of the guaranteed money week in, week out, and you're lower down the rankings, I don't know how you feel like every week when another high profile player says, you know what, I'll make the switch. There's a limited number of spots. They have this team format. They don't need 200 players saying they're willing to play on the LIV Golf Tour. So, yeah, I mean, if you're Brooks Koepka's brother, for example, you must feel like your days are numbered in terms of how long they're going to keep you around for. Are you making enough money from this to feel as if it was worth the risk? And then, do you run the risk of then having a long-term ban from either the European Tour or the PGA Tour? When will you be able to get your card back? I mean, it falls into the category. I wouldn't do it. And I know people will be critical. I know that people are saying, why are we holding golfers to a higher standard than we hold, the organizations that we use or our own governments? Like, oh, we're fine with our government selling weapons to the Saudis, but a golfer can't take money from them. Or, hey, do you know that your bank that you use does huge business in Saudi Arabia, but that doesn't mean that you don't bank with them? There's a certain moment when the world is too complicated to be principled. Like, you cannot actually live your life and as an active member of society if you are going to hunt down what are all the ties. Like, I'm going to break ties with everything I do not fundamentally agree with. That will be your life.
You got to go off the grid.
Yeah, unfortunately,
got to Jason Bourne it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not hypocritical to just kind of say, look, I'm going to try and avoid. I'm not going to directly, like, I'm not going to choose right now to open a new bank account with a Russian bank. But I have to accept that some of the companies I may have either invested in or that I use or buy products from may be profiting from, activities in Russia. That's
Eddie,
the nature.
You're about one more bank phone call away from having to start banking with Russian banks.
That's probably true.
You're running out of options.
No, that is true. It would probably simplify my life. Oh, wait, I can't use my card anywhere? Okay, at least I'd know that. But that bit, I think people saying like, oh, how hypocritical are we? I think they are being intentionally naive as to it's very different to literally say, pay my salary. Like, those are not the same thing. And so I wouldn't be comfortable taking money directly from them. And they've openly said, right, this is part of their sports washing. They know why they're doing this. They are trying to soften their image internationally. You're taking part in their PR scheme. So I think that's the other element that makes it more complicated. It's not like you're going over there to build a pipeline. You're actively going there to be like, no, don't look at all those human rights violations. No, please don't look at the fact that we just killed another journalist. No, don't look at how we treat gay people. Focus on how far I just hit my drive. That's what I would like you to talk about right now. That would be my issue. I wouldn't do it. I don't know. Would you do it?
I don't talk in hypotheticals, Eddie. So if you're going to ask me a question.
Nice. You could then you do the full Brooks Koepka, get really annoyed that I've asked you the question. I mean, look, say we have a guest we're trying to get on the podcast Arlo White, who we've spoken to a bit about getting on. For those unfamiliar with him, he was a commentator on NBC for their Premier League coverage. He is also one of the commentators in Ted Lasso, which is why we were focusing on getting him on the podcast. In addition to that, he is now the face of the LIV Golf. I don't know, that to me is also one of those ones of like, is that almost weirder? I assume it's probably a nice payday. Saying this might not help us get him on, but I don't know. I don't know. Like if the LIV Golf Tour contacted us for some weird reason, I was like, we want you to be the official podcast.
Official podcast.
How quickly would we sell out? If it's like 5
Here's
million,
my question.
5 million each. Do we do
a
it?
year?
Now signing bonus, and then there's some like salary thrown in. It's 5 million hit to your bank account. We get the email tonight. If we sign it like tomorrow, there's $5 million, or Monday morning, there's $5 million in your bank account. And then on top of that, I don't know, we're getting a couple $100,000 a year going forward as our contracts. Do you?
Well, one, then you have to hope the tour doesn't fold, because then, I mean, yes, you get the 5 million up front, but then you're just, because I think the issue is who's hiring you after that. There's going to be a lot of PR backlash.
Well, I mean, for us, that might be a great thing. We're in a position where the additional PR coverage might not be, any press coverage is good. But
I still, if you're a professional golfer, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's worth it for Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka, who, like he said 2 years ago, he has a ton of money. He doesn't need money. He's not playing for money. So if you're not playing for money, why put your reputation on the line for money? Because you're not getting anything else out of it. You're not going to go play in this tournament and people are suddenly going to say, wow, Brooks Koepka, he's a much better golfer than we thought. Look who he's beating. That's amazing.
No, if anything, you can almost only harm your reputation. They're going to get no credit for winning these tournaments at the moment, but if they don't win, then they're going to get hurt. I guess the simplest
now, if I'm a fringe player, and I don't think I have a shot to ever be in the top, I don't know, let's say 20, 25, and this is a pay bump of 500 to $1 million a year to like 4 million a year. Yeah, then okay, that's different, because that is life changing. But for someone who has 200 million already to get another 200 million, that's just hurting you.
I mean, I think you might be overestimating what some of the players towards the lower end of the rankings are earning. But I do agree with you. I think it's a much more complicated equation if you're a guy who's kind of, I'm making tournaments, but I'm not winning that much. And, when I factor in everything, all my expenses, like I got a nice life, but it's not a crazy life. And this is literally someone guaranteeing me a certain lifestyle. That's great. But yeah, I mean, I think the John Rahm answer of, and look, what a statement it is to make if you're John Rahm. I sat down with my wife and I asked if I had an extra $400 million, would it change my lifestyle? And we said no. What a statement. I mean, if you ever want to have like a flex in a press conference, that's as good as it gets. Just, I mean, look, an extra 400 million, would it be nice? Would it change anything for me? No. I mean, but at the same time, you understand what he's saying. He probably owns kind of all the houses he probably needs to own. He's set for life. As he said, he could retire tomorrow and know that he has enough money in the bank account and in his investments, and also the capacity to keep earning money. Like, we're pretending as if when these golfers, if you're a high profile golfer, you have a media job lined up, you can become a course designer, that there's the after dinner speaking that you can do, like there are ways to continue to make a lot of money pretty easily. But yeah, I wouldn't do it. In some ways, the closest would be like, do you think Steph Curry would leave the NBA if the Harlem Globetrotters offered him $100 million a year to just play the Washington Generals week in, week out?
And they were tied to fishy, controversial governments.
Let's throw out the ties. I don't think he'd do it. I think he'd say, no, I want to keep playing in the best league. I want to keep proving myself. I want to keep testing myself. I care about my legacy. I don't care that I'm going to make way more money than I'm currently making, that it's maybe an easier life, whatever it is. I think he would say, no, I do this for, I think most people get into and they can lose sight of it over the course, right? But I think the players who are genuinely saying, like the Rory McIlroy approach, you didn't become a professional golfer because you wanted to make money. At some moment in time, you probably realized that you could make a lot of money, and wow, won't this be amazing? But you did it because when you were a little kid, you watched people play professional golf, and you wanted to be putting on the green jacket, or you wanted to be going to the Open and winning it. or you wanted to be saying, I'm one of the best golfers in the world. And by competing elsewhere, you're missing out on all that. Just have the money.
Or there are some people like Happy Gilmore who would say, gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
And
just trying to save grandma. Just trying to save grandma.
Happy Gilmore got into it for the money. We would be certain Happy Gilmore would be playing on the LIV Golf Tour. There's absolutely
100%.
There's no. He'd be the face. He'd be the face of the LIV Golf Tour. Shooter McGavin would be criticizing him in the press. Shooter McGavin would be trying to uphold the
This
the
is a great Happy Gilmore 2 right here.
Yeah, I don't know if. Yeah, it'd be an interesting move from Adam Sandler. I don't know if he wants to destroy the reputation of Happy Gilmore in the process, but yeah, it's undoubtedly we know where Happy Gilmore would be, and I think we know where Shooter McGavin would be. Even though Shooter McGavin is the bad guy, I think he would be sticking with the PGA.
Yeah, easier for him to win another gold jacket.
I guess so. Yeah.
Actually, I should correct myself. Win his first gold jacket because he's, as of the end of Happy Gilmore 1, he never won one. So.
Oh, is that true? He never won.
He just stole it. Yeah, okay. He had never. Don't you remember when they circle around, and he's like, "Oh, what's this jacket for? You get it when you win, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Oh, where's yours?" He's like, "Oh, funny guy. Oh yeah."
The other golf news was Matthew Fitzpatrick winning the U.S. Open. I guess if we're going to talk about what's been going on in the world of golf, it was nice to see him. He's one of those players who's kind of been in and around. He'd never won on the PGA, never won. Only other time, I watched this video of him today. For a long time in his career, he individually tracked like all of his shots. He would mark them all on. I mean, it's insane.
Still does.
He does, but on the same level of detail. He's like given up on. He was explaining like he's given up on some of the elements that he was like when he was younger. He was putting in information, like he was putting like the compass on and stuff like that, and kind of like different. And he's given up on some of those elements, but he was able to go back and look at his scorecard and kind of see exactly what he had done well and where he wanted to be. I thought it was fascinating to see, but really nice. I thought it was a nice representation in this argument of like, why wouldn't you take the money, to see how much it meant to him and how much he has enjoyed winning the US Open, and to see his caddy as well, who has been a professional caddy for 40 years, and to see how much he enjoyed that moment and the satisfaction that he got out of it. That's you see in that what the money kind of can't buy you, is just that moment. And he said it subsequently. Yes, he's won things before, but this is like the thing they can't take away from him. It was interesting. I heard him interviewed where he's like, yeah, previous tournaments he's won, you feel really good in the moment, but then 2 or 3 days later, it's kind of worn off. Whereas this is just not going away. He just knows for the rest of his life, he's a U.S. Open winner. He's a major winner, and then that's with him forever.
Yeah. It was nice. And then I guess on the other side, you're starting to write the story of poor Will Zalatoris, who now was second in the Masters in 2021, tied for second, losing in a playoff in the U.S. Open in 2022, and now second, missing a putt to force a playoff in the PGA Championship. So a player who's risen up pretty quickly in the past 2-3 years, but unfortunately has not been able to get a major victory yet. And it's one of those things where who knows what happens in the future. And, not that you want that to happen, but say some injury happens and he never fully recovers. You look back on that basically 1 year span where you had 3 solid chances to win a major and you just couldn't get any of them.
I don't even think it's injuries. I think even if you're a really good player, at some moment in time, you need to do the calculation. How many putts will I have to win a major? And even if you're Tiger Woods, what is it? 40? You know what I mean? Like, so if you're Zalatoris, not that he's not necessarily all of these have been putts to win, but they've been putts to keep him in there or putts that could have won it. When you're getting to 3 already, there's got to be that moment in the back of your mind that goes, I'm not. And he may go on to win 3 or 4 of them. Who knows? But there has to be that thought in your mind, like, I'm not going to get that many opportunities. No matter how good I am, I'm not going to have, another 30 chances. I'm not going to be on the 18th of a major with a chance to win that consistently. So to have 3 opportunities slip by, as wonderful as they were, and as much as in particular the first time around, it kind of came out of nowhere. You don't
Lost by
have
one stroke in that one too.
Yeah, you don't have an unlimited number of chances, even if you're really, really good. And you can see that from the number of really good players who never even win one. Or Sergio Garcia, who had to hang around forever to win one eventually. Like you can be really good and really successful and just never get the really big win. So yeah, it's got to be. I'm sure he's encouraged, but at the same time, there's got to be moments there of a little bit of self doubt, even if you really believe in yourself.
And just to bring it full circle, I mean, look how far along he's come since being Happy Gilmore's caddy back in the day at the Waterbury Open.
Now, completely switching topics. Obviously, our American football coverage will ramp up over the coming weeks and months. But I guess the one of the sticking in the controversial category, I guess we've got a couple of somewhat controversial bits of news from American football. But the less serious one was the fact that a couple of days ago, Ohio State received a trademark for the word. I guess we have to say it the way that they would intend it to be said, which is the.
Which I don't get because it's the.
Yeah, but
wouldn't
it's the
be spelled differently?
Yeah, I don't understand how this works. It's so out there. I can understand
so it's only a trademark for any apparel on it that has the as the main thing of the apparel. That's like what it's actually trademarked for.
Yeah, but so for those, even if you don't watch college football, but you watch the NFL, you'll have definitely seen players when they do the intro, when they say the college that they went to, you will see some of them do the Ohio State University. You'll see yes,
you see both.
You see both, but you definitely see one player a week, 2 players a week who really kind of go hard on that element of it. I get what you're saying. I still don't understand. If Alabama just releases a T-shirt that says like the Alabama football program, is Ohio State going to litigate? I mean, like how far are they willing to push this to try and protect the word "the"?
I don't know. And what's interesting is a lot of people don't realize there are a lot of universities that actually start with "the." So Penn State is the Pennsylvania State University. So there are numerous colleges that do this.
Not anymore, Frank.
I guess
not anymore. Tossed out.
Gone. Yeah, it was very strange.
The Giants should do the same, right? Because they're the only team that really gets like they go heavy on like the New York Football Giants. When you get the people who really go for that,
no, they should trademark football.
They should trademark football. Really screw over Washington.
Not anymore. They're the Commanders.
No, but yeah, no, I don't understand it. It's such a weird move. But hey, look, probably not the best moment in time to be talking about the U.S. Judicial system. I think we could be opening. We can move on from controversial court decisions in college to Deshaun Watson and his never-ending controversy, but his decision to settle out of court with 20 of the 24 women who brought civil cases against him,
with the other 4 going forward to try and bring it to trial.
Yeah,
to attempt to bring it to trial,
which massively simplifies his life because I mean, obviously, if he'd been dealing with 24 different cases, you would have been talking about years of litigation. Also, trying to fit those in moments in time when he could actually have them, of kind of off seasons to deal with them. Feasible for him to actually handle the remainder of this somewhat smoothly. From all reports that have come out, he could have settled out of court with all of these people a while ago and chose not to. Every time a new sort of wrinkle of this story comes to light, he just looks worse and worse. Like it's unbelievable. It's rare that you're in a situation where it's just like, oh, every little bit of new information makes him look horrible.
Yeah. And I have no training in the judicial system or anything of that nature, but it's such a weird thing to me now that he's settled. The assumption, right, is that he is admitting some culpability to what he did. But technically, right, when you settle, it's that nothing is said.
Yeah, so this is a civil case. So he's not accepting. I think there would be a big backlash within the legal community as someone who does have some legal
I
training.
know, that's why I said it.
I think there would be a big backlash to someone thinking that settling is an admission of guilt. Like the whole process of that at times is just to
but
look, I
in a
can't.
way, isn't it kind of?
I mean,
I understand part of it is maybe he doesn't want to just deal with this anymore, and it would cost him more time and money than what it's worth to prove his innocence. But at the same time, when you're facing 24 suits and your reputation is on the line, if it really mattered, wouldn't you fight it? You know what I mean? That's kind of that's when you see that, that's kind of what I think. And I think that's what a lot of people think. And now I'm not saying maybe he wasn't 100% guilty of everything that's been said. And that's why you can't make those assumptions. But I feel as if you kind of have to assume something in there was true.
so I think this is it's one of those things you have to almost judge on a case by case basis. I think my opinion of that is tainted by the fact that I think he's guilty. So just because it seems there's a lot of smoke for there to be no fire, and the more and more information that came out from each of his accusers, it just seemed insane. Like the fact that he was going through nearly, whatever it was, 4 masseuse a month over a period of 17 months, like where he was finding them, like every element of it was so weird. The fact that he sent them text messages apologizing, saying, didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, like all of the information, the indisputable information that came to light made him look guilty. And again, it's unfair because being tried in the court of public opinion, and this is the issue. I mean, this is the thing that's kind of sucks sometimes about if you're a celebrity with the way the judicial system works, is people make their mind up about you before the case even takes place. And then the kind of verdict probably won't even impact. And if you were a celebrity, I think that's probably the thing he would be. Imagine he is totally innocent. He'd probably be, if you had an honest opinion with people around you, with your legal team, everyone, someone might say to you, like, look, Deshaun, you can win all of these cases. Not going to change what people think about you. The people that think you're guilty are going to think you're guilty. Like, it's not going to matter. You could wipe the floor in all of these cases. They could get thrown out on day one. People are just going to still think that, oh, okay, because he's a football player, because he has an expensive legal team, because of this, that, and the other. So why don't we just save ourselves some time, some energy, some money, just settle and move on with your life, as much as it sucks. So
yeah, maybe.
It's a lose-lose situation once you've had that level of accusation made against you as a celebrity. But
so here's my follow-up question now that you are a man of the judicial system. Now that these have settled, the NFL has said it's still going forward with their own investigation, upon which they'll make a determination of if he'll receive a suspension and at what length the suspension will be. Are they still now able to investigate and talk to these women, or have they probably signed NDAs and can never discuss the incident again?
That's an interesting question. I mean, they won't be able to publicly discuss them, that's for sure. I guess, these were specifically civil suits. So, I mean, here's the thing is they'll have their depositions. I don't think the NFL will necessarily need to be speaking to them on a one-on-one basis, because that there are these depositions out there, and they'll have pretty much all the accounts that they need from each of these women. But because him settling in a civil suit doesn't mean that he's going to avoid criminal prosecution. They're two entirely separate matters. As it looks as if he won't face any criminal prosecution because he has done, he's had the 2 grand juries in which he's won both of those. So it looks like criminal prosecution is unlikely anyway. But yeah, I assume that they can't now go and speak to the NFL. I would guess, but I don't think the NFL would need them to. I think they'll have all of the and the NFL has said, right, this has zero impact on this. I think he's probably facing. I'd be amazed if he doesn't get suspended for a year.
I mean, I was going to say that's the rumors circulating are a 1-year suspension, which are so interesting for what that implies for the Cleveland Browns. In one, that they haven't gotten rid of Mayfield yet, but whether Mayfield would then turn around and say, "Oh yeah, sure, you made a terrible decision and said F you to me, and now I'll cover your ass and play." I don't see it. But the other interesting thing is,
I think he has to. Where else is he going? I think he has to come out. I think he has to. I think he wants to rub their faces in it every time. Like, I think he then has to become. I mean, he's always been a good leader for them, right, and a good image for them as a member of their team. So there's a huge contrast there between him and obviously the person he's competing with for this job.
Do you think he pulls it that I do it for the players and not the organization, or the fans and not the organization? I'm doing this for the city of Cleveland, not the organization
and his teammates. I think he'd be able to say, like, look, we built
a
real team. Yeah, not Deshaun. I think he would say, like, we built a real team and I kind of want to finish. But I mean, the reality is I just don't know where else he's going. So if you're him, you have to then have that private conversation of, like, I'm sure you'd love to say, fuck you to these guys and walk away. But the reality is the Baker Mayfield market might not be very hot right now. And the best way for you to get an NFL job beyond this season is for you to go out on a pretty good Cleveland Browns team and really play well. And yes, you got to swallow a little bit of your pride because they chose someone else over you. And, it's not ideal, but you're going to go and rub their faces in it and really show them what they should have had. And yeah, if you get injured, you're not playing through that injury again. Like, that bit's going to get shut down. But if you want to stay, if you want to be an NFL starting quarterback going forward, you probably need to take this opportunity. Like, there just aren't enough jobs. I mean, there's rumors, right, that the Seattle Seahawks are seriously interested in him. But aside from that, who's coming for him? And now the issue is, if he does get suspended for a year, then the Cleveland Browns are going to want more for him, right? Like, they're not going to just chuck Baker Mayfield away. So as the market is cooling on Baker Mayfield, in some ways his actual, value is increasing day by day. So it's not a great position to be in if you're him. I think you just got to suck it up, and it sucks, but you got to go out there and play and try and prove a point on the field. And then, yeah, maybe try and, rub their noses in it week in, week out. But what else can you do?
The other interesting aspect is if he's suspended for the year, his contract will not kick in until the following year. So right now, Watson would be a $10 million hit to the salary cap this year, and then I believe it's 50 or 55 million year 2. So if that got pushed back, that would mean that this year they'd be saving 10 million, but then that next year they'd be saving 45 million. So there is a chance that if he is suspended, they might load up that team next year with the extra 45 million they're getting for like a 1-year run in 2024.
Yeah. Look, it's not, they've made a mess, and it's a shame because they were a team that was so easy to like, and now they have made themselves so difficult to like. So what else is there from the world of sport at the moment or elsewhere?
I don't know. I don't have much else. I mean, it's been just trying to get back into the swing of things and get rid of some jet lag. So I haven't been too in tune with my usual BuzzFeed articles. I haven't perused the BuzzFeed.
I guess worth saying, right? Tennis. We've got Wimbledon coming up next week, a sport that also hasn't avoided any controversy over the past few weeks. I don't know if you saw, but there's been some really positive reports about Rafael Nadal's movement, that a few players who've had practice rounds with him have said looks exactly like the normal Rafa. So that could be interesting. But one of those
must have doubled up on the painkiller injections.
one of those crazy stories, like sometimes you see these stats. Obviously, Roger Federer and Venus Williams will both be missing from Wimbledon this year, which means it is the first time in 26 years that neither Venus Williams or Roger Federer are taking part in Wimbledon. It's like one of those
wow
kind of things that
it's a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's and obviously Serena is back, which has surprised a few people. She's playing in Eastbourne at the moment. Has looked good there, warming up for Wimbledon, and she got a wild card offer to take part in Wimbledon itself. So we'll get the added drama of Serena Williams taking part, but should be interesting.
So she'll be unseeded.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, the big talking point right on the women's side is just Swiatek, and if she can keep her remarkable run of victories going.
Will she lose?
She's 6-4.
Yeah. What do you think? A little short?
I don't think so. I mean, you're talking about someone who's won, whatever it is, there are 40 matches in a row, won every tournament she's played in this season, and there's not a lot of strength and depth on the women's side at the moment. So I don't know. I think 2 weeks from now we could be saying, wasn't it crazy that Swiatek was 6-4? Like, what did you need to see from her to start putting her in that kind of even money odds-on category? But at some point she's got to lose.
Or does she?
Oh yeah, she's not going to win 1,000 matches in a row. But be an interesting one. I'm a big fan of Chuck Klosterman, the author, and he has these like provocative questions you can buy. That one of the questions he has, they're very good. Like if you're having a dinner party or a party, you kind of pull them out, and they make you kind of think about different topics. It's a good way to get discussions going. One of the questions I always liked is, I'm going to mangle this slightly, but it's something like, imagine you get to the age of 70 and then you stop aging. And you kind of you're sort of frozen in a healthy state of a 70-year-old. How long would you have to go in that state before you started to consider that you might be immortal?
I think you've said this before on the podcast.
There's a good chance, but I mean, I've definitely said it to you off podcast, because I do find it's always an interesting discussion because people's answers range wildly. Some people go really early; they're like 90, which is insane. It's like, wait, so you're just a healthy 90-year-old? You're going to be out there proclaiming, "Guys, I'm immortal." Like,
but are things happening to you? Like, do you get struck by a car and you don't even get injured?
There's nothing that extreme, because that would you're not like in you're not Bruce.
It's not like Unbreakable. I'm not Bruce Willis.
You're not going through a series of.
I'm not in a train.
No, and you don't have some supervillain out there intentionally creating disasters to try and find you. There's not that element to it, but it is just a case of, maybe you're getting a cold, let's say, but you're never getting seriously sick, and you're definitely not feeling any sort of, your body feels exactly the same. There's no deterioration from you from a physical standpoint. You look the same. So when you're 90, you look exactly like you looked when you're 70, and you had no medical issues. Like, again, let's factor in, maybe you can get a cold or a flu, but like nothing serious. And kind of at what point then would you start to consider? I think it had to get to like 130. Then I might consider it. If I'd gone 60 years without aging, I think I'd start to feel like, wow, this is, and you've broken then the world record of, the oldest recorded person and stuff.
I mean, I would say 50 is a lot. You know what? I can even, if you got to 100 and you looked exactly like you did at 70 and you felt exactly like you did at 70, knowing how sharp the drop off is from someone being 70 to someone being 100, you really have to start questioning it.
But then sometimes it's not. I've seen 100-year-old people who are super sharp and can get around. Like I've seen them,
but they don't look like they're 70, Eddie.
You take this. I know where I disagree.
They look like they were Shoeless Joe Jackson's baseball glove.
Where I disagree with you, I've watched a series of different YouTube videos about it's like with World War II veterans, and one of them is a guy, and he looks like 60 years old. It's insane. And I think he's 80. I think he's 90. But you see him move because kind of the way it gets filmed, he moves around his house to show things. He moves like a 60-year-old. And I also think the big giveaway, the biggest one, is the voice. Because even for people who are, still moving really well, you kind of start to get a little bit of a frailty in your voice. Even if you keep it, there's still you can tell that you just got an old person's voice at a certain moment in time. And if you listen to him speak, I'm like, oh, that's the voice of a 60-year-old man. Like there's no real aging in there. You can tell it's not a 30-year-old's voice. There's a gruffness to it that comes with age, but there's no weakness in it. But
now I know no one listening will really understand, Eddie, but I'll follow this question up with, how many more pictures of the old Eric Schultz would you have to see before you realize Eric was a time traveler?
One more.
Yeah, I knew I'd get you on that one.
Yeah, not many. But for those, hey, look, this is a great way for us to plug it. For those of us, most of you will be obviously unfamiliar with who Eric Schultz is. We'll put up a side by side. We found this picture of an old man in Ukraine. This was a while ago, though. This is about
what a weird thing to say. It's like
about 10 years ago.
Found a picture. Just like,
I don't know how we found it.
I was walking down the street and this picture just fluttered in the wind, and I picked it up.
I don't know how we found. I don't know.
It was in a National Geographic article about 10 years ago.
It's an old man holding flowers. And it looks exactly like a friend of ours, but aged an extra 40 years. But I mean, identical. Like, it's unbelievable. It looks like you stuck him into one of those like face morphing apps. Like, I would 100% believe it if you just said, look.
If they had said, if the article was, this is not real pictures, they are random people we have selected that we face aged, then I would believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if then under the article, if it said this is Eric Schultz, Kovov waiting for his wife at home, I'm like, okay, that's him. But if you're not following us on Instagram, search for the Big Chill Podcast on Instagram. If you're not following us on Twitter, do the same, or on YouTube. I will put up the side by side of Eric as a now man in his mid 40s and this picture of a man in his, I think, mid 70s or 80s. And it is like one of those things when people find those pictures and they're like, look, this is Nicolas Cage in the Civil War.
As a vampire. Yeah.
This is along those lines. It's just that Eric happens not to be famous. If Eric were famous, people would be losing their minds over this on the internet on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So as a final question, we lost our Ozark wrap up, by the way. We might have to redo our Ozark breakdown at some point. I
don't know if I could do that again. I put so much effort into that.
Have you finished Obi Wan, which is now wrapped up?
We have not actually even started Obi Wan yet.
I might say, don't bother.
I've heard. I haven't. All I've literally seen are headlines of people not enjoying the finale, to say the least. I'll watch it. Listen, I have to watch it, so I'll watch it.
Speaking of the inconsistencies in aging, this is the one comment I will make. So Ewan McGregor in that, I mean, he looks like Ewan McGregor now, right? They haven't aged him really to play Obi-Wan. No, or they need to age him.
Okay.
So if you see it, because you're
comparing it for me, but okay.
Well, no, because not really. So it's set in. So you have Princess Leia in it. I looked this up because I was watching this and it was troubling me. So Princess Leia in this Obi-Wan is 10 years old. They say it repeatedly. In A New Hope, she is 19. So there's a 9-year gap between when this TV series is set and when the episode 4, the first ever Star Wars movie, is supposed to have taken place. In those 9 years, Obi-Wan goes from looking like this middle-aged Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness. That is a rough 9 years.
Talk about not knowing you're immortal or not.
Oh, he was in no doubt. In some ways, it might change my whole interpretation. Like when he lets Darth Vader kill him, He might just be like, guys, at best I got another 7 days left. Look at how I'm aging.
He's Benjamin Button in reverse.
I mean, they need to actually almost go. They need to re-edit the whole Star Wars, the first three, or like episode 4, 5, 6, and I need to see everyone like meeting Obi Wan. I mean, Obi Wan, man, you have aged horribly.
Obi Wan, what the hell happened to you?
Just like, Obi Wan, you're our only hope. Oh fuck, Obi Wan, you look terrible.
We've got no hope.
No,
they have to change it to a no hope.
No. I mean, it's unbelievable when you think. And again, Alec Guinness did not look bad for his age, but he doesn't look there. The 9-year gap does not look right.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense then. So that I'll have to look out for that. So I have not watched that, but what I did watch, Eddie, was 4 movies on the plane ride back from Paris to LAX, which is an 11.5-hour flight. That still left me with about another hour and a half, 2 hours of time to kill. So I watched, I believe it was Chaos Walking, which is the Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley one where all men's thoughts float in the air and you can hear it with them. Not good. I watched the new Scream 5, but just also called Scream. And it was like a meta analysis of a meta analysis of Scream. It was like meta on meta. And apparently people liked it. I mean, it had pretty decent ratings. It's like a 70, 80 on Rotten Tomatoes. It was not good. There were some parts in that made absolutely no sense. Like the one is, I'm going to spoiler it a little, but not too much. Someone's in a hospital and there's an accident outside, like 5 miles from the hospital. And every police officer in town, including the ones that were watching the person in the hospital, go to this accident, leaving the person in the hospital vulnerable for an attack. They then go to try and rescue her. And not only are there no cops in the hospital, there's now no one in the hospital. There's no doctors, there's no nurses, there's no staff. It's just like an empty hospital with one person in a bed.
I feel like this happens a lot in TV shows and movies, though.
I know, but it just like even at this point, like I get it back in the day, but with all the criticisms for movies that there are now, this is something that still can't fly. You can't give something a rating of 80 on Rotten Tomatoes and have a scene where 400 people in a hospital disappear. So Scream 5, not very good. I then watched Belfast, which was
supposed to be. I've not seen it, but everyone gives that rave reviews.
It was good.
It doesn't seem different. Like a plain movie.
It's at some point you kind of have to mix it up. It was good. I think it's better when you kind of read where the story came from and how it came to be. Obviously, it's loosely based off of the life of the person who wrote and directed it, who was a young kid living in Belfast at the time, and his family had to move out, during everything that was going on. So you appreciate it, I think, a lot more.
The Troubles.
The Troubles.
Yeah.
The Troubles. Yeah. So I think you appreciate it a lot more when you kind of know some of that backstory. It was very well done, very good. And then I watched Dune. That is not, I don't think, a movie to watch on a plane, considering how visual it is. It was very good, but from someone who has never read the books, I have to say I have no fucking clue what's going on.
I was never a Dune person. I feel like there was a period when I was maybe like 11 or 12 when people started to either get into the Dune, the books, or into the original movie. Like there was a definite period I can remember in my childhood where it was very briefly cool to kind of be into Dune. And I never had any interest in it. I'm not a sci-fi fantasy person in any sense. So it just didn't interest me. But I've seen the new Dune. It's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good. The visual effects are stunning. It's really neat, I guess is a good way to put it. But for me, I don't think I'm appreciating it because I really don't get it. Like, I get it. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But at the same time, I think there's a lot more to it that I'm not reading into it. That someone who's, like you said, seen the book, seen the movies is, oh my God, that's so cool how they did this or how they incorporated this. And I don't know.
No, 100%. And sometimes, right, that's the calculation you have to make is, was this movie made for me? And a lot of times the answer is no. And then people are being unfairly critical of it.
And if anyone has any recommendations, I mean, in 2 weeks, I have another 2 9-hour flights to kill. So I'm open.
Well, can I
for
not
movie
recommend something to you?
What?
I watched the Adam. Speaking of Adam Sandler, I watched the new Netflix movie he has out, Hustle.
You didn't like it?
Oh, garbage. If I could vote to take it off of my Netflix, I would do it. If I could somehow physically burn it, which is, I would absolutely do it. What a waste of time.
So I still haven't even seen Uncut Gems.
Marginally better. It gets way too.
People love Uncut Gems.
It gets way too much credit than it deserves.
Okay.
Uncut Gems bothers me. I kind of liked the premise of Uncut Gems. It bothered me a little bit because, again, as someone familiar with placing bets, the bets that he's in placing are insane. Like, no one is taking. He's like placing like. I think Kevin Garnett's going to get 26 points, 7 rebounds, 12 assists. It's like, dude, no one's taking this bet. Like, no one. You're not turning up, whether it's like online or whether it's a bookie down on the corner of your street. No one's taking your insane bet. But that bit bothered me a little bit. But no, Uncut Gems is at least watchable. Hustle is just, it's garbage.
And there's okay.
It's. I can get why he did it. A really cool opportunity for Adam Sandler to just hang out with NBA players for a while. Don't blame him. I would have done it too. And he's got this massive Netflix deal, right? So at some point he's just going to make movies. But another thing I don't need to see, Adam Sandler is clearly a pretty good basketball player. When you do see the videos of him playing pickup basketball, like, he is a decent player. Although in the promotion of this video, the number of times I get an Instagram video, which is of Adam Sandler like tossing an alley-oop to an NBA player and be like, oh, Adam Sandler with a sick pass for tossing an alley-oop. Like, I can get that throwing an alley-oop mid-game takes skill, like, to see the opportunity to get the timing right. If I'm just watching a 6'8" guy like run unguarded towards a basket, I'm just going, whoop. You're basically asking me, can I throw a basketball between the heights of, sort of like 8 feet and 12 feet at a relatively consistent speed? And if you can't do that, you're terrible at sports. But people are just like, oh, Adam Sandler alley-oop. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard he actually is really good at basketball. That's when I was listening to people who made Uncut Gems, they said they would play pickup games all the time in between, like scenes and stuff. He plays a lot.
No, you see a lot of videos because he openly speaks about the fact that he just goes and joins pickup games. Like, I saw an interview with him where he's like, yeah, I just go and see a court and I just go and join. And they're like, what's that like? He's like, well, I kind of walk up and say, hey, I'm on next. And then they realize I'm Adam Sandler. And then I usually get to play straight away because they want to play with Adam Sandler. But, like, he's good. You watch him play, especially for someone of his age. Like, you can tell he's a pretty skillful basketball player. Like, I'm not knocking that. But tossing an alley-oop, I could toss 100 alley-oops in a row to LeBron James right now. Like, there's no skill involved in this. You know what I mean? Like, if I mess that up, I just suck. It's not. And again, mid-game, that's a whole different prospect. I'm not trying to say that there's no skill. But literally just the two of us walk out to a court, and I've got a guy who can dunk every time. If I can't toss him an alley-oop, what are we doing? But I interrupted your train of thought with my Adam Sandler alley-oop rant there.
No, I was just I was asking if you watched the other Netflix movie yet, Spiderhead, with Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth.
No, I've heard that's bad though.
I also have heard it's not very good.
I think the strike rate on Netflix movies is pretty low.
I think it's just unfortunate. They're all watchable, but none of them are great.
Good. I mean, they basically do the same. They all follow the same thing. It's like, it's an okay premise, and you've managed to get a couple big names involved.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, like, this should have been a straight to DVD. kind of experience.
Well, kind of
but it basically is. It's the new version, but because you've got a big budget, you're actually getting people involved who otherwise never would have been involved in this. And that's the thing.
Yeah, so they make it slightly better than it is because they're such good actors, but the overall, it's still not that great.
Don't know if I'm going to call one of the Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth's a good actor.
Okay, we'll save that discussion for another time.
All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll wrap it up and call it a day.
Yeah, we'll get back into our usual rhythm, so listeners of the podcast won't have to wait another month for the next episode. But,
yeah, especially my dad was not happy. Got another reminder yesterday.
We got a few, I will say, and look, it's nice. It's a compliment. We got comments from quite a few people, including, random people asking us. It's nice. I'd rather that than we just stopped releasing episodes and no one ever mentioned it. That would be more depressing.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.